It's showtime, folks. Enjoy the show.
Now, everyone at home, Mecca Lecca Hi, Mecca Hiney Ho. Mecca Lecca Hi, Mecca Hiney Ho. The wish is granted. Long live Jumbie.
Hello.
Hello, boys.
Hello.
How you doing?
Hey, Uncle Al.
We're doing
Uncle
okay.
Al. That makes me sound older than I really am.
Well, call a spade a spade.
Yeah, that's true. But Chance is catching up with us.
Yeah, yes, he is.
Around me, he'll get older quick.
That's right. That's right.
How's everybody doing today?
Cut to the other camera, Al.
Oh, I'll do that. Hang on.
If you want to talk nostalgia with us, the number is 678-615-7560. We got a bunch of topics to cover, and I have a correction
You get
in just a moment.
Oh, okay. Just as long as it's just.
Is my mic on now? I can't hear nothing.
Yeah, it's on.
Okay.
You're coming loud and clear?
Yeah, I hear you
Too
fine.
much so.
I hear you fine.
Turn your volume up on your little monitor there.
That was a nice pre-roll video from Tom Basil Chesterman,
Yeah.
Tom Williams from the Weather Channel, Al Hardee, formerly at Turner Entertainment and Cumulus Media. That's how we met. And we're here to broadcast with you today and
That
talk
is true.
nostalgia. And I met Catherine Mary Stewart. We'll talk about in a little bit. She was the star of a lot of movies like Night of the Comet, The Last Starfighter, Weekend at Bernie's, and a whole bunch of other stuff. Yeah. She was just a treat. She looks fantastic and very generous. Yeah. And happy birthday to our friend Bill Tush. It's his birthday today.
Really?
Is it really?
Yeah.
We should have called.
Bill Tush from WTCG and with CNN, Showbiz Tonight. And,
Tush.
Yeah.
When I got a job at Channel 17 back in the day, he was the first person I met, I talked to. He told me, he says, let me know. Anything you need, just let me know.
We're going to change the name of the show to Three Old Farts.
Yes.
Why would we need to do that?
When did that happen? 1976 when you met Bill for the first time, or 77?
77.
Was it 77? Mm-hmm. Sunset Strip.
Good show.
77. Yeah, with Kooky.
Sunset Strip. Yeah, Ed Kooky Burns.
Cookie, lend me your comb.
That was a great song.
It was a good song.
I have the 45.
It's Connie Francis and Ed Cookie Burns, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it was good. It was a good song. It was a very good song. Did you have? You mentioned you wanted to do all this.
That's
all
right. I have a correction.
What is your correction corner?
Right.
Okay. When we were last at the fabulous Studio East, I told you about the Curly Whirly bar, which is made by Cadbury.
Curly Whirly
which
bar?
is based on an American candy that's been defunct since 1981 called the Marathon Bar, which was like braided chocolate. You youngsters out there won't know what the hell I'm talking about. So let me play a quick ad.
Okay.
I have a commercial. Now, the guy in this commercial, am I potted up, Al? Yeah. Is Patrick Wayne, the son of John Wayne, the Duke.
Wayne, yeah.
And he was the spokesman for this candy, which was first unveiled to the public back in 1973.
Really?
And I'll get to the correction in just a moment, but here is one of the vintage commercials. This is from 1975.
I do everything fast. Marathon John, you can't eat a marathon candy bar fast. Quick Claude, it lasts a good long time.
Oh, wow.
I show you. Milk chocolate, delicious caramel, and chewy. Told you, nobody eats a marathon bar quick. Claude.
Marathon.
That was
lasts
Patrick
a
Wayne?
Good long
Here's
time.
another one. Yeah, here's another brief one.
I remember that commercial.
You do?
Yeah,
Okay.
I do too, now that he played it.
Now, here is another one. This is also very brief. Listen to this. This is Patrick Wayne. He's entering a bar through the barn doors for a shootout.
Can't eat a marathon candy bar fast, quick, Carl. It lasts
That sure is, huh?
good long time. I'll show you. Chocolate and caramel.
Now on the Marathon Bar.
I told you. Nobody eats a marathon quick, Carl.
A marathon bar lasts a good long time.
Now, you say they still make those?
They do in England, and I had it imported. And we talked about this the last time. Is that me or you?
That's you.
Well, what? Well, shame on me. Hang on a second.
That's you.
The waffle breakfast sandwich.
Hang on a second, fellas.
That's you.
I got you potted down now.
Okay, well, I'll
So
figure
you
it out.
figure
in a
out what you
minute.
want to play.
All right. So anyway, I brought this over. I had this imported from England. Cadbury has been making basically the Marathon bar for years, and it tastes better than the original one. Now, the correction is this. I showed that on camera with you guys the last time, and I didn't share it with you. I'm going to correct that now. We're each going to try a bit of this imported chocolate. They come in 5-packs, and I got them for free. I got them for free because I use my Amazon Prime. Did you know Amazon Prime, for everyone out there that's a Prime member, shipping is free.
Really?
And that includes international shipping. I think that's a loophole that they're going to eventually catch to, the bean counters will catch it. But for now, you can get something imported for free from Amazon UK. I can't hear right now. So let's open this up real quick.
I'm here. You're here.
One for Tom. And as you're eating it, I'll give you some background on the Marathon bar. One for Al.
Does this go with Mexican food we just had?
Ooh. It's delightful.
Grab it.
I can't. Hang on a second. Hang on.
Just grab hard on it. Oh, that's what she said. Well,
ooh, it kind of melted a little bit.
Well, hang on.
It's good.
It's good.
Here, Al, try that.
But
now, this is called the Curly Whirly Bar in England.
But it's nowhere near as big as the Marathon bar.
No, and they had a ruler on the back.
No.
That's what she said, but where it would show you how long that candy bar is. Mm-hmm. But Marathon was a chocolate bar consisting of an 8-inch length braid of chocolate covered in caramel. Right. And it was made originally in America by Mars Incorporated, and it was first sold in the U.S. in August of 1973. The bright red packaging had printed on it a ruler on the back.
It's actually pretty good.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. I probably shouldn't have eaten this while we're doing the show because I'm getting a little tongue-tied here. But as I said, Patrick Wayne was the spokesperson endorsing that product. And it went away in 1981 in America. But I loved it. The last time it was sold in America was in October 1981, to be specific. There you go. And John Wayne's son plugged it. So
it kind of sticks to your teeth.
My mic's not long.
Yes, it is.
But Cadbury chocolate is really good. I think the chocolates in England are better than the chocolates made in America.
Well, I mean, we're sound fine. I don't know what. Just turn that off. Yeah. Turn your volume up on your headphones.
I can hear you fine. I can hear him fine. Can you hear me?
I can't hear me either.
All right.
Very well.
How come I hear all of you guys?
All right. Which one is he?
Who knows?
And say something, please, while we're.
Okay.
It's bad audio.
Just play with it till you turn it up.
The other camera.
What?
Touch up the other camera.
Which one is Tom?
Tom is that I don't know. Just play with it.
Okay.
We're fine. I just checked it. We sound great.
All right. Well, that was me.
Yeah. Did you turn it up?
Anyway, you think John Wayne ever had one?
I don't know. The Duke, I'm sure he did.
Well, speaking of John Wayne, what is that thing you put up on your Facebook page? It has something on his head. What was that?
That's from Devo. D-E-V-O.
Guess what that is?
From the Whip It music video.
Yeah.
Oh.
With the red cone.
It's up there now.
John Wayne's turning over in his grave. You put that up there. Yeah.
Well, I started a game with you guys called Brand or Brand X, where I have two similar. No cheating, Tom. If you're looking at my notes, I don't think it was okay. And so I'll come up with two things, whether it's a food, a character, two very similar things. And your task, gentlemen, and for the listeners, is to tell me which came first.
All right. Go ahead.
And so this week, I have a superhero edition of the Brand or Brand X game.
Right.
So I'm going to start with question one. There's only 4 questions total.
All right.
I'm going to ask you which character came first. And Tom, if you're listening, you called in last week when I did a solo show, the Nostalgic Podblast. If you heard this, then you'll have to recuse yourself. Okay, he's admitting. I didn't listen to it when I was done with the call.
I listened to the whole show.
All right, here's the first character. Question 1. Which character came first?
The B9 robot.
It's the Lost in Space robot.
Oh,
Swamp Thing or Man Thing? Both are characters who are part man, part vegetation or plant. Swamp Thing was a DC Comics character, and Man Thing was a Marvel Comics character.
I would have to say the Marvel character came first.
What do you think? You think he's right?
I'm going to say DC.
DC is Swamp Thing, as I just said.
There was a movie called Swamp Thing.
Yeah, I know.
With Adrian Barbeau.
Adrian Barbeau.
Right. It was filmed in 1981.
I have a poster for it, yeah.
And a friend of the show, Jeff Logan, is friends with the African-American who was then a kid actor who's in that movie, and I forget his name.
Well, there was a
black kid in that movie, main character. Oh, wow.
It's been a long time.
And that's Jeff's friend. All right, so I'll give you the answer. Have you had time to think about it? Well, Tom was correct.
Of course I'm right.
Marvel was first. Well, see, it's kind of a trick question because you would think Swamp Thing because you're used to that movie from way back in the early 80s.
Yeah.
With Adrian Barbeau,
well, see,
as you said.
I never was a comic book fan, so I don't keep up with a lot of that. I would think the Swamp Thing would be first.
How long have we been going?
All right, so I'm going to give you just some quick background, and we'll get on to question 2.
You're funny.
I'm sorry. Okay, so I won that one.
You won that one. So
one for me.
Score 1 for Tom. Swamp Thing.
We need a little bell.
I've got one at my place.
Yeah, you should have brought it.
All right, let me just give you some quick history, please.
All right.
So the artist for Man-Thing for Marvel was Mike Ploog, spelled Ploog. Wow. And Man-Thing, that's not slang for a male body part. He's a cursed human character. And actually Stan Lee had a hand in creating the Man-Thing, along with Roy Thomas, Gary Conway, and Gray Morrow. So I'll just tell you real quickly that Swamp Thing for DC was first introduced in a comic book, House of Secrets, issue 92, which was on the newsstands in April of 1971, a full 2 months after Man-Thing hit the scene in a magazine, Savage Tales, issue 1, in an 11-page origin story. So there you go. And by the way, in Tales of Suspense, issue 7 from January 1960, there was a Man-Thing type character. So really you could say Man-Thing was years before, not just 2 months before Swamp Thing. Anyway.
Now, how come there was no copyright infringement?
Different name, different artwork.
Did they look...
Back then, they didn't really copyright the concept. Mm-hmm. It was more like the artwork and the name.
Yeah.
In fact, you had a character, Dr. Droom, before Dr. Doom, who was not really the same character, but he was cloaked. He first appeared in Amazing Adventures issue 1 in 1960, but I digress.
And you had Dr. No and Dr. Evil, because they both looked the same. They both kind of
Dr. Evil was Austin Powers movie, wasn't
it? Right.
Yeah.
But Dr. Evil was based kind of on Dr. No, because they wore the same outfit. Yeah.
And last thing I'll say about Man-Thing.
$1 million.
Remember that? $1 million.
$1 million. That's a lot of money.
You lost the key there.
I did. I lost my D key on my laptop.
Sorry.
Have you noticed how he types on his computer?
Yeah, and I lost the key on my laptop.
He lost the key.
He's kind of heavy.
All right, so
Man-Thing, we'll move on to question 2 here, but I just wanted to mention that Man-Thing first appeared in Savage Tales 1, which I already mentioned, which was a magazine in black and white, not governed by the Comics Code Authority, so it was an adult magazine. On the cover, you see Conan holding a severed head, right on the cover.
Wow.
Because of Seduction of the Innocent, which was a book that was published that really swept America, and it alerted parents to the dangers of comic books, particularly horror comic books by EC Comics.
Yes.
William Gaines, who also published Mad Magazine.
Yeah.
And so this code, there were congressional hearings, and the book was called Seduction of the Innocent, and the Comics Code Authority was created, and there'd be a little seal on the cover of a comic book that was approved by the Comics Code Authority. It was censorship. Yeah. Now, the magazine was not governed by that, so it could be a little raunchier, a little more gory, adult-themed stories and art.
Now, I think it's kind of cool is they've come out with, and this has been years, this isn't anything new, they've come out with all the hardback reprints of all those. And so if you don't have the originals, at least you can go back and look at them. Mm-hmm. And they look good. Have you seen one?
Oh, actually, they look better than the original.
But they're expensive. They're just...
Well, the paper is a lot more... It's like a slick paper.
Yes,
it's more expensive, especially the hardbound. Like, back in 1987, Marvel Comics started publishing these hardbound books, and Marvel Masterworks was the name of the series, and they would typically publish the first 10 issues, and when they sold so well, they just published 10 more issues in different volumes of different titles.
And everybody has jumped on the bandwagon. From Peanuts has got them, Calvin and Hobbes, and all. You know, you can go buying all these. Like if you got a big giant wall, like this wall that's in this studio right now, if you it would be overflowing. You would have to have another wall because
and
they're
like
so
$100 per book.
Yeah,
and they have the omnibus, which is like a huge collection of reprints. It's like it's almost like close to the page of an actual comic book piece of art. Did you know they're in black and white when the artist pencils and then the inker inks over it? It's in black and white, and the colorist makes it in color. But the pages themselves are like treasury-sized editions. They're huge.
Yeah. Have you seen any of these books?
I think so.
Yeah, they're actually quite good. I mean, they're great books to. I mean, if you're sitting there watching a movie like you do,
yeah, all the time,
and you get,
I have a lot of free time,
and you get bored like I'm sure you do, and you fall asleep like you do. I'm sorry.
I can't help it.
Anyway, real quick, do you get sleepy when you read?
I do.
Oh, well, then you don't buy any.
And you watch movies and you see people how they'll read in bed and they're just like, I fall asleep.
Yeah.
I fall asleep playing with my phone in the bed.
Do you fall asleep reading?
Yeah, sometimes I do.
Yet?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I read a lot.
Well, let me ask you this: do you own any of these books that we just talked about?
I have the Marvel Masterworks. I don't have any omnibus because I have the originals for the most part.
I mean, the original comic.
The original comic book.
Yeah. He doesn't sleep.
Well, no,
6 hours a night.
Now they came out. They came out with a notebook binder type of thing, which I hope you didn't do, for the classic comic books. That you put the comic books in. To me, it would destroy the comics.
Right.
Do you have any of those?
Mm-mm.
Something was
and
just
also,
around my legs. I thought it was Swamp
It's his
Thing.
dog.
It was Sonny, the dog.
Yeah, a Cocker Spaniel.
Is Sonny
his black Cocker Spaniel.
Oh, okay.
And also online, you have online versions that subscribers will pay for. MarvelUnlimited.com.
Yeah, but I don't get that. Would you subscribe to that?
No.
I mean...
And you can find them on a disc, too.
I mean, would you subscribe to it?
No.
See,
I have to
and
smell
you're a
the
collector.
comic. Yes.
Yeah, see?
I mean, I've got, 15,000 comics.
Yeah.
I love comics.
You know one thing I noticed about Chance when I first met him?
What?
Is this an insult?
No. When we worked at Cumulus, a lot of times we would go to the eateries behind the building, like the Blue Moon Diner and Firehouse.
Behind
Subs.
it?
Behind the building where we worked.
Okay.
It's behind the,
okay.
the Cumulus building.
Okay.
And one day we were walking back, and he had a newspaper, and he was going, I said, what are you doing?
Because you smell the newsprint.
He says, I love the smell of newsprint, which is fine.
Mm-hmm.
I just,
Did they have the mimeograph machines when you were going to school?
Mm-hmm. With the ink.
I love to sniff those things.
There's a joke in Fast Times at Ridgemont High where the students are smelling like getting high supposedly from the ink.
I love those.
Now, I'll tell you what. When these Yankee candle companies or whatever should get that smell into a candle, I would buy one. When you buy a candle that smells like the mimeograph,
better than Gwyneth Paltrow's candle. Boom.
All right, so anyway, the digital thing you wouldn't buy because you're a true.
I'm
collector.
a purist, right?
Yeah,
I love
you're a collector. I understand that, but I don't see how they're making money off that. Although maybe
it's just like a book. I wouldn't want to read a book on a Kindle. I'd rather have the actual book.
Yeah,
that's because we're three old farts.
No, but I like to have the physical copy. That's why I collect DVDs and Blu-rays. I like the physical copies instead of just streaming it.
And the reason I brought up Man Thing, we'll get on to question 2, is because, as we mentioned when you called in, a lot of people probably didn't hear last week's show. Man Thing was introduced in, spoiler alert, on Disney Plus, Werewolf by Night, which is a one-shot movie. It probably will be a sequel.
That was the monster. Ted was the monster? I mean, Ted. He called him Ted, right?
Yeah. That's right. That's the character's name, the human from the comic book.
But that's, really?
And the one you said reminded you of the Snuffleupagus from Sesame Street.
Yeah, Ted. Okay.
And last thing I'll say about Man Thing, I keep saying last thing and then I have diarrhea of the mouth, but in comic book form, the first appearance of Man Thing was in a book called Adventure into Fear, issue number 10. That's in comic book form, not the magazine. The first actual appearance was in Savage Tales number 1, which was a magazine. It only lasted one issue, by the way. And then he was introduced in the comics in Adventure into Fear, which was originally a reprint title called Fear, and then they renamed it Adventure into Fear.
Well, how did those comics? I mean, how did they do? I mean, because I never heard of it. I'm sure you've never heard of it, and
I've never. Heard
I'm just saying that.
Very well.
Who they turned out? They sold a lot of them.
Yeah, in the early 1970s, Marvel had a resurgence of the monster genre, and as you know, we've talked about on television. By the mid 1960s, monsters were sort of out. Okay. They were in around 1963 with The Outer Limits, The Twilight Zone before that, and then your beloved Munsters and The Addams Family, which were parodies of the monster craze. And you had famous monsters of Filmland magazine, and
that brings up another thing that really chafes my butt. Excuse the expression. Is that all these executives, whether it's Paramount, whether it's MGM, whoever, Warner Brothers, whoever owns the rights, some executive will be in charge and go, I don't like Gilligan's Island, or I don't like this, or my wife doesn't like this is an actual story, by the way. His wife didn't like Gilligan's Island, so it was canceled.
Yeah.
You hear stories like that, and because I've worked with upper management before, they can make that call. For instance, your friend at Cartoon Network, we won't say his name, he didn't like Space Ghost Coast to Coast. So guess what? It was canceled. Even though it was doing well. He exited. Now, what gives him...
His name was Mike.
I know. But what gives him the right or the power to do that without going through a series of people?
He was
like the board or something.
Well, they should vote on it. They should. One person, even though he's the CEO or manager or whatever, he shouldn't make that one decision.
I don't think so either.
You had big executives in the day like Grant Tinker with NBC, who was married to Tyler Moore's fella.
Yeah.
Brandon Tartikoff.
Yeah.
He ran NBC for a long time.
Fred Silverman. He was huge. Yeah. He actually started Jiggle TV, which a lot of people credit as Charlie's Angels being the first Jiggle TV show, ostensibly because the main star, sexy females, would not wear bras. Yeah, and in the action, it was, what do you call it, objectification of women.
Slow-mo.
To say the least.
Who was the guy that ran CNN? He used to run a network or a movie studio.
Scott Sassa?
No. The one they just let go. Time Warner, Discovery.
What's his name?
Anyway, he drug CNN down, but he used to run a studio. I think
Stelzer. You talking about Stelzer?
No, he ran.
He's bald-headed.
Brian something.
He's not even worth mentioning.
Was it Zucker?
Zucker. That's it.
Yeah.
Well, I think he ran Paramount for a while, if I'm not mistaken.
Well, most importantly,
what?
Do you have more than one marathon bar?
I only brought the one. I have 2 more at home. Next week I'll bring you another one.
You don't need another one.
Wasn't it good though?
You just had a good meal at the. We should talk about that little restaurant.
Wait. We should get to the next question.
No, it's okay.
We got plenty of time.
No
one cares about a local Mexican restaurant, but let's talk about it. What the heck?
All right. So we went to a new Mexican restaurant which opened up, which used to be a Boston Market. And they did some major renovation. They spent some money.
Well, they put decks on top of it. On the
There's
sides.
a spiral staircase.
Yeah,
it's great, gorgeous.
And Al claims every time he goes by there, which isn't all
crowded.
the time, but it's packed. The parking lot's packed. And we were told it was 30-minute wait. We waited maybe 10, 15 minutes tops.
About 13.
They said it would be a 30-minute wait, as you said, and we were in maybe in 10 minutes.
Yeah, the food was good. It was a little bit more pricey than a normal Mexican restaurant.
Agua Vera is where we usually go.
I would opt to go back to Agua Vera because I like Agua Vera's atmosphere a little bit.
And they have funny masks like wrestlers, like Mr. Wrestling #2. When it's someone's birthday, they put on these crazy masks. And serenade the birthday gal or guy.
Yeah.
Well, that was good. I'm glad I went.
Anyway, question number 2.
All right, number two. Number 2. All right. Who was first, gentlemen?
All right.
Aquaman or Submariner? Both are sea gods. Not gods. That's blasphemous. But they're leaders of the sea and of underwater aquatic life.
Aquaman.
And they're both good guys. Aquaman or Submariner? Which came first?
I would have to
Aquaman.
I would say Submariner.
We have a split vote.
I'll have Aquaman.
What do you say out there? In the Podience, 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 our audience, our listeners. What do you think?
Well, I think it's not. Were they both DC Comics or were they
Marvel? Good point, and I should have mentioned that. Aquaman is DC Comics, and Submariner was actually pre-Marvel Comics.
Oh, okay. I still say Submariner.
And Al says Aquaman. You would be right again, Tom. That's 2 for 2 so far.
2 for 2.
And I said both characters, as I said, are
you were wrong.
Well,
hang your head. Wait.
Oh, shut up!
Take your camera. Take your camera.
I don't follow comic books like you guys do.
Take your camera.
You infamously said in an early Podblast, Al. You said infamously, I don't like to read.
All right, now, before we go any further, before we go any further, wait.
I don't like to read.
Hang your head and shit.
Don't admit that on the air.
No, I like to read things I'm interested in.
You read more than you think. You read your phone. You read social media, but you don't read fiction. You don't read novels. You don't read autobiographies or biographies. And that's not an insult. That's just Al.
Yeah, that's fine.
That's just Al. We're all different.
There's a lot of people that don't like to read.
Now, I have a clip. All right, now, Submariner, the reason I bring him up, now the answer, Submariner was first. He goes back to 1939, and his character's name, the official name is Prince Namor.
Prince
Imperious Rex is his character, and he ruled Atlantis in the ocean. And I have a quick clip of the cartoon show Submariner. Am I potted back up, Al?
Let's see here. Yes, you are.
This is only 18 seconds long. He doesn't like long clips. All right, this is based on the Tales to Astonish Marvel comic series in the mid-1960s, and this was a cheesy cartoon where they literally took the panel of the comic book, and all they did to illustrate it was just move the mouth. Right. And the guy who played Submariner was the great John Vernon, who most people know was the Dean in Animal House. He voiced Submariner in this 1966 short-lived cartoon. Here's the theme song. Let's listen.
Stronger than a whale, he can swim anywhere.
He can breathe underwater and go flying through the air.
The noble submariner, prince of the deep, will be ready every season. Lord Famer of Atlantis is the prince of the deep.
Now, most people would definitely think that Aquaman was first, because we're used to seeing Super Friends and people in Gen X like me. But let me just give you some background real quick. Debuting in early 1939, the character of Submariner was created by writer and artist Bill Everett for comic book packager Funnies Inc. That was a publisher, Funnies Inc., initially created for the unreleased comic Motion Picture Funnies Weekly.
Never heard of it.
Well, the character first appeared publicly in Marvel Comics issue number 1. This is before the Silver Age of Marvel Comics, by the way, but Marvel Comics number 1, cover dated October 1939, was the first comic book appearance of Submariner. It was published by Timely Comics. So in the 1930s to 1940s, the predecessor of Marvel Comics, Timely Comics, published stories drawn by Bill Everett. And he fought in World War II alongside the Human Torch, who was a robot at first, before he was a human, like irradiated by cosmic rays in the Fantastic Four. It was a robot, and Captain America, who famously bopped Adolf Hitler on the cover of Captain America 1 in 1941. And he's a mutant, too. Submariner is a mutant. He's the son of a human sea captain and a princess of the mythical undersea kingdom of Atlantis. And he's going to be in the brand new movie Wakanda Forever, which will be released, and it was released in November 2022. And I see Al's going to get on a soapbox about Wakanda because he doesn't like the trailer. Go ahead.
Well, the trailer's okay. I just don't,
Wakanda, what is that?
That's their mythical land.
Ask him. He's the Marvel guy over
all right,
there.
Wakanda's where Black Panther's from. It goes back in the Marvel Comics universe to Black Panther from 2016, starring, who we miss a lot, the star of 42, who passed away, Coleman.
And he didn't tell anybody he was sick, so it was good.
Yeah, it was colon cancer.
It was good for his fan base. Was surprised by his untimely death. So I've got question number 3.
Well, okay, just a sec. I was gonna just pull something up, but okay. Sorry, you're trying to move the show along.
Yes, I am. Question number 4.
All right, hang on.
Question number 5. Which came first, the Addams Family or the Munsters?
Ooh, that's a good question. I know the answer,
family,
but let's let Al decide.
Or the Munsters?
Chadwick Boseman.
Alan. Listen to me. Albert.
The Munsters.
The Munsters. Okay, what do you say?
Addams Family.
Are you sure?
Yeah.
Wait, is there any other recourse? Any other?
Well, the reason I say the Munsters, I saw them before I saw the Addams Family.
Right. Well, the Addams Family, I think, was first.
It was,
but only by a little ways. Because Universal decided they would jump on a bandwagon and go with a monster theme. Now, which show lasted longer? Unfortunately, was the Addams Family. But I like the writing and everything on the Munsters better than the Addams Family.
Well, I like the characters in the Munsters better. Like, Grandpa was my favorite, but I just like the whole concept. I like Fred Gwynn. I mean, the Addams Family I watched, but the Munsters are my favorite.
Yeah. The Addams Family debuted on September 18th, 1964.
Right.
And they had 64 half-hour episodes over 2 seasons in black and white. Glorious black and white Yep.
And you can watch any of those. I think Peacock is still carrying the Munsters, and I'm not sure who's carrying the Addams Family, but I know I've seen it in streaming.
It seemed like Pluto
the Munsters
TV
debuted
has it.
September 24th versus September 18th. So, like you said, just days later.
I think Pluto TV has an Addams Family
Yeah,
channel.
it does.
It does.
Yes, it does.
Now, the Addams Family were based on cartoons, and was it the New Yorker magazine?
Yes,
yeah,
that's correct.
I hope I'm right on that. I'm going by memory. Let me look it up.
That's correct. Now, the new Addams Family movie, have you seen the trailer for that? Al? Have you seen it? Has it
They've
been out in
made
theaters?
many Addams Family's movies already. Why
Well,
are they making another one?
They sure are.
Well, what's his name that played he died.
Well, I know, but this time as Gomez, they've cast a Hispanic actor who looks more like the cartoon than what's his face did. I forget his name. He was a good actor too. I can't think of his name, but that's what they've done, and whether it will be successful, I do not know.
Well, I hope it's better than the Monsters that we watched by.
I liked it.
Rob Zombie. I thought that.
You're outnumbered on that, Al.
Well, it was a different take. I
thought it was horrible.
We're rehashing what we've talked about before, but
but he brought up the Monsters, but but I didn't like it at all. I didn't care for it.
Well, the Addams Family, by the way, was created by Charles Addams, and did you know it goes back to 1938 in the New Yorker magazine?
Yeah.
1938.
So it was first. It was definitely first. But
that's the same year Superman hit the scene in Action Comics #1. But I digress.
But then again, technically, Frankenstein was first. So
right, of course, Mary Shelley. Based on the book,
which is his favorite character. He loves Frankenstein. He's got all these Frankenstein monsters.
Yeah,
wow.
Although I don't care for the Frankenstein movie as much as the sequel, Bride of Frankenstein, because it was much better writing.
They're going to run that next week on Svengoolie, I believe. I think
on MeTV.
On MeTV, yeah.
I don't care for Svengoolie, but no offense.
As we're live, MeTV's having a Twilight Zone marathon, which is kind of old hat. Sci-Fi does that.
Sci-Fi runs it all the time anyway.
I'd rather stream it.
Well, plus
they'll never want to partner with us now. Forgive me. I take that back. Strike that from the record, MeTV.
I have the whole box set of every episode.
Yeah, but as I asked you before,
yes,
have you ever watched it?
I watched one disc. I did watch one disc.
That's the problem. That's the problem. Wait, I got a question for you. Here's the problem. If you go punch up.
Oh crap!
There goes your.
There
camera.
goes the camera.
There goes. No, it's the lighting. Was that the camera or the light?
Well, I'm on.
That's funny.
So,
That's okay.
a question for you though is out of all the films that you have bought on
16 millimeter
16
film.
millimeter, how many do you watch? Do you watch them all or not?
Well, I'll give Chance kudos. He does watch a lot of film.
Well, I know he does.
I do, but not as much as I used to. That's a fair point. He's trying to adjust the camera, Al.
Let me take a look at it.
Okay. Well, I've been watching them more now because Al's put in my head that, which I don't agree with, all films will go bad unless they're on Mylar film stock. And so I've been liquidating some of my films. I'm keeping the stuff that I really, really love.
Yeah.
And I love it all. But to answer your question, I watch film at least twice a week.
Yeah.
Twice a week.
And I myself, I have a lot of film too, and I watch it all the time.
Good. Or are you being facetious and sarcastic?
He doesn't watch anything. You know what he does with it? He'll buy a film.
Reel to reel film.
Yeah, and put it on the floor.
Like
That's
this.
right.
I brought one.
It'll lay on the floor, you know.
I brought this film because I just sold this today on eBay. It's a Bionic Woman episode, and this guy was writing me asking me if the film stock is Mylar.
I'll tell you right here. Give it to me.
It doesn't look to be Mylar's transparent. You can see through it.
It's not Mylar.
No, see.
All right.
Let me see.
Al, it doesn't smell like vinegar. The can hold on. The can it's in might have a bit of vinegar, but no, this has not gone vinegar. All right, to the layman out there, when a film starts smelling like vinegar, it might be on its way out because the chemicals are breaking down and the film sprockets shrink and it becomes unplayable in a movie projector.
All right, this is acetate stock.
Yeah.
Thank you. How can you tell? That's pretty smart.
I just know. I've been around.
And that's the kind that can go bad eventually.
I've been around film.
But this
all
is
my
a good
life.
print. It's sold. I think it sold for like $140 today.
What is it?
A Bionic Woman episode with zombies in it.
Yeah. Oh, speaking of that, and I hate to jump around, but
That's all right.
but
We'll
like
get back to the
jump
quiz
around.
later.
Listen, and I don't want to dwell on it because we've talked about Marvel a little too much, but
Yeah, we need to move on from
but the She-Hulk As you pointed out,
I had that on my agenda. Let's go.
Episode 9.
Right.
The beginning. They've recreated the open. You go ahead and talk.
Spoiler. Okay, in the season 1 of She-Hulk, as we're live, they just dropped the finale of season 1, and it's been renewed for season 2, by the way. No, this is cool. Al.
That's cool.
This is really cool what they did. In the opening, this isn't too big of a spoiler. They recreated the opening of the Incredible Hulk television show starring Bill Bixby, Lou Ferrigno, and Jack Colvin. And it was brilliant. It was brilliant the way they did. And they shot new material.
Even 4x3. Even 4x3 aspect
with
ratio.
Tatiana, who plays Jennifer Walters.
Yeah.
I get confused with Jessica Drew, who is Spider-Woman, who's coming soon in the Marvel Universe. But they did a fantastic job. Now, there were a lot of haters out there, and during the opening credit sequence, I'm going to play a little bit of the audio of that, because I know this won't get dinged. But what also I like is that they used the best version of the Incredible Hulk classic theme by Joe Harnell that only aired one time on November 27th, 1977 in a TV movies. Before it was a weekly series, it was a couple TV movies. And I hope that our friend Kenneth Johnson, who directed the pilot of the Incredible Hulk, which that opening sequence was cut from, I hope he got compensated in some way. And I was surprised that Disney had the rights to that footage because Universal owns the classic Incredible Hulk show. Obviously, there was probably a trade-off behind the scenes because Universal and Comcast is doing the Fall Guy movie, which Disney owns. They own the Fall Guy when they absorbed the 20th Century Fox film library. Here I go again talking about Fall Guy again. But they're filming a movie right now in Australia, and I'm excited about it. But here is a little bit of that opening, just the audio. Listen to this.
Jennifer Walters, Esquire, lawyer, millennial, searching for a way to balance a career and her personal life. Then an accidental dose of gamma-radiated blood alters her body chemistry. And now, when Jennifer Walters grows angry or outraged, a startling metamorphosis occurs.
It's almost over, Al. He's falling asleep.
The creature is driven by rage and pursued by online trolls.
Don't make me angry. You wouldn't like me when I'm angry.
Hang on.
She is provoked into a rampage that has landed her in prison, and now she is seen only for the raging spirit that dwells within her.
There you go. Now, I got some trivia for you. We were talking about Addams Family and Monsters. Who was the narrator of the original opening sequence for The Incredible Hulk starring Bill Bixby?
Oh, that was, I don't know.
You can add Ted Cassidy, who played Lurch in the original Addams Family. And I've been trying to figure out who did that narration for She-Hulk Episode 9, Season 1, because they did a good job. But again, it's more visual, and I'm glad I'm not spoiling it visually. You can look for it on YouTube if you don't have Disney+. What the hell was that? We got some special effects. But they used...
That's Sonny barking out the picture window.
Again, I'm repeating myself. Let me play a little bit while we talk in the background. Listen to this. This is the classic Joseph Harnell music. And right now, Ted Cassidy we'll be going,
Dr. David Banner, physician, scientist, searching for a way to tap into the human strengths that all humans have. Then an accidental overdose of gamma radiation alters his body chemistry. And now when David Banner goes angry or outraged, a startling metamorphosis occurs.
Wow, okay.
That's my favorite version. By the way,
that's scary that you know all the words.
I've seen it ad nauseum. Talk about film. I have a ton of Hulk episodes on film. Is my mic on? I'm having trouble hearing. Can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear.
Probably ad nauseum.
All right.
But that is my favorite version of the theme for what it's worth.
Cool.
I know he likes Marvel and everything, but can we move on?
Well, I'll get two more questions. Two more questions.
All right, then we need to move on. We need to, we don't need to be talking about Marvel.
Well, what do you have prepared? I'm going to call you out. I'm kidding.
Well,
I'm just teasing, buddy.
So
the answer was...
start charging you to do my film, your films.
I think she's wonderful.
We're going to get to it.
I'm sorry I didn't go see her, but I was working.
Well, for those that are listening and not watching, you're talking about Catherine Mary Stewart.
She doesn't look like that now.
Yes, she does. She looks fantastic.
How old is she?
I'm not going to say. Well, that's a rude question. You don't ask a woman her age. You can look it up. People can look it up.
You can find it out on IMDb.
She was very, very sweet.
Yeah.
I'm not saying she wasn't sweet. I just asked how old she was.
Well, she still looks good. She looks good.
So the question was, for anyone that hasn't tuned out, who came first, Submariner or Aquaman? And I think I left off just saying that Submariner is a mutant, and he's going to be in the new movie for the first time in the MCU, Wakanda Forever, which is Black Panther 2. And I am excited to see that movie, and there's a lot of buzz about that movie. But he goes back to the golden age of comics. And then the last thing I'll say is Aquaman was created by Paul Norris and Mort Weisinger, and he debuted in More Fun Comics issue number 73, cover dated November 1941 versus 1939 for Submariner. So there's that. And I had more, but I can see you guys are getting bored with this. I try to give some information for the listeners. So let's move on to the next question. This is the next question.
The next question.
This is the next question.
Right,
There's
next
just
one.
two more
Here
questions. Who
Here
came
comes.
first? This is an easy one.
All right.
Superman or Spider-Man?
Oh, Superman.
Superman.
You are both correct. So that's 3 for 3 for Tom, and you are 1 and 3.
1 and 3.
1 out of 3. You've gotten right. So Superman was created by Jerry Siegel and Joe Shuster, debuting in Action Comics number 1, cover dated June 1938, but actually on the street on April 18th, 1938.
I like the Max Fleischer cartoons.
Oh,
very
they-
good,
they-
yeah.
they-
Serials.
They were very good. Now, how many of those cartoons did they do?
I don't know. I used to have some.
Like a small handful.
It wasn't very many,
Wasn't
though.
very many.
But see, the thing about it is they were long cartoons. They were 8-9 minutes long.
Well, the animation was amazing. It was Max Fleischer.
Oh, yeah.
So.
Well, all his animation was good. The Popeyes
And
were
I've
great.
got
Great art.
I've got the. They came out with this.
Out of the inkwell, they said.
Yeah. There was a documentary. I'm going to call it a documentary on. I think it's HBO. That's classic cartoons that you haven't seen before, and it's basically the birth of cartoons. And Out of the Inkwell was one of them. It was silent, and it's got all kinds of cartoons that you just have never seen.
All right.
before.
Well, you know, TCM, Turner Classic Movies, is owned by Discovery Disney that owns HBO.
Yeah.
And they actually ran that on TCM a couple of weeks ago.
Yeah.
It was really good. I watched it.
It's fascinating to see. Now, anyway, I got a box set. I bought 2 of them actually, and you open it up, and it's got a recreation of that comic book, of the first comic book in there, and it's got a figure of Superman from that.
Lifting the car.
From the comic book. No, just got him, with his hands on his.
Oh, that's from issue 1. Yeah.
From issue 1.
Not
And,
Action Comics number
yes.
1. Yeah.
And it was pretty cool. I mean, it's pretty. And they did. I think they did Wolverine. They did a couple more, I think. But the only one I was ever interested in was Superman. Remind me to show it to you.
I'd like to see
next
that.
time. But it's pretty good. It's a pretty big box set, and it was cool that the figure is. Are you smoking cigarettes over there?
What do you ask that?
That's me breathing. I'm sorry. That was me.
But anyway, I like that. I've got that Superman figure out. I'm surprised you haven't seen it. But anyway, go ahead.
I'd like to see that next time. So, again, Superman first hit the scene in Action Comics number 1 from April 18th, 1938, whereas Spider-Man, many years later, first hit the scene in a comic book titled Amazing Fantasy 15 from May of 1962 on the street, but the cover date says August 1962. They're always 3 months ahead for distribution purposes. Think of, for the guy in the rack, he knew when he saw that date to yank that book and put the new one in its place. It's kind of like a milk expiration date, if you will, at the grocery store. Next question. Who came first, Buck Rogers or Flash Gordon?
Buck Rogers. Buck Rogers.
Buck Rogers or who? Flash Gordon?
Flash Gordon.
I'm going to say Buck Rogers. Yeah.
You're 4 for 4.
Yeah,
Buck Rogers is correct.
Ding, ding, ding,
Well, I said 4 too, so I'm what, 2?
You're 2 for 4.
You're 2.
Okay, all right.
And that's the last question I had. I have some background. This is brief.
Wait.
Yeah.
What do I win?
Another Curly Whirly bar. Actually, I have brought another one. It's in my bag here. You can have it. So Buck Rogers was, of course, a science fiction adventure hero and a comic strip created by Philip Francis Nolan, Nowlan, first appearing in daily U.S. newspapers on Monday, January 7th, 1929. Wow. And appeared in the Sunday newspapers, international newspapers, books, and multiple media with adaptations including radio in 1932, a serial film series, a television series, and many formats. And people in Gen X remember the Gil Gerard starring Buck Rogers in the 25th Century on NBC.
Go ahead, do it.
Oh, how did you know I had a clip? How did you know?
Well, I thought you were going to.
I had a Buck. I had a Flash Gordon.
I wasn't
cereal one
prepared.
time.
Hey, Buck.
I do. Oh,
Hiya, look.
Mel Blanc. And, they replaced Mel Blanc voicing that, and the viewers got so pissed they wrote the network and said, what the hell are you doing? And they brought Mel Blanc back. When it went to season 2, they changed the whole format of the show, and they put the main characters on a spaceship, and they got rid of Dr. Hewer. And anyway, they made it like Star Trek. They tried to copy Star Trek, and that killed the series.
Well, did they...
Here's a little bit of the theme while you're talking.
Was it because Mel Blanc wanted too much money?
Probably it's because of money. Here's a little bit of the old theme to Buck Rogers in the 25th Century by Stu Phillips.
Yeah.
And you know who narrated it?
Who?
William Conrad from The Fugitive, the original Fugitive narrator. That deep, great voice. The first Matt Dillon in radio on Gunsmoke.
Yes, he was.
He also narrated Bullwinkle, I think.
Yes, he did.
But this was a pretty good little show that the network ruined. I'll stop it. So, some background on Flash Gordon now, if I can get back to my notes as we're live. Oh, God. Buck Rogers, the strip was published between 1929 and 1967, and it was syndicated by John F. Dilley, D-I-L-L-E, Company, and it was later called the National Newspaper Syndicate. And it was popular enough to inspire other newspaper syndicates to launch their own science fiction strips. The most famous of these imitators was Flash Gordon from King Features Syndicate from 1934 to 2003. Wow, I didn't know they were still doing it up until 2003 in the papers. And other ripoffs included, I've never heard of this, Brick Bradford for Central Press Association from 1933 to 1987. Don Dixon and the Hidden Empire from Watkins Syndicate, 1935 to 1941. Speed Spalding, also by John F. Dill Company, D-I-L-L-E. I said Dilley. It's probably pronounced Dill from 1940 to 41. But the Buck Rogers strip also probably inspired developing a strip based on John Carter, Warlord of Mars, from United Feature Syndicate from 1941 to 1943. And also, that was introduced through Edgar Rice Burroughs' character, first seen in 1912. And Edgar Rice Burroughs, of course, also introduced Tarzan the Ape Man.
Well, who did the Johnny Cash and June Carter Cash comic? There wasn't one. I was just kidding.
And then here's the last thing I'll say. This is very brief, Al. Flash Gordon, the protagonist of a space adventure comic strip created and originally drawn by Alex Raymond, first published on Sunday, January 7th, 1934, a few years after the 1929 introduction of Buck Rogers.
Well, I knew I did an ad for Buck Rogers, but there it is. It's Dale. I've almost got them dialed in, and it's the ad I did a while back. So.
And by the way, if you're listening to this show on an audio platform only, we encourage you to go to our YouTube channel, The Nostalgic Podblast, or our rapidly growing Facebook group, where we're Facebook Live on Sundays, The Nostalgic Podblast. Yes. And you can see everything on camera, all of our collectibles and things for what it's, and our ugly faces, at least mine. I'm ugly. You guys are better looking than I am.
Oh,
I'm
no,
a dog.
Al's pretty.
And also on my page, Rewind, Nostalgia Rewind, and my YouTube channel, you need to subscribe, Hardee Entertainment _ Al's Place.
There you go.
And on fistfulofradio.com. I run that platform. You can stream us every Sunday, 2 to 8 p.m., and some overnights. And I also want to plug the music show, Retro Music Cuts, which has been a big hit. I looked at the numbers, and I appreciate everyone tuning in to my selections.
All right. Well, Halloween is coming up. It's not too far away. What is that?
Sonny barked at it.
He did bark.
It's James Bond. James Bond. I was just trying to mix it up. Okay, so
Halloween's coming up.
Yep.
Do you have there's a lot of good movies that's on. Do you have a favorite horror movie? I mean, and don't say Halloween.
A goat? No.
You can say whatever you want.
I know, but
I wouldn't say that. I would not pick Night of the Living Dead. I think you asked me about that the other day, and I wouldn't pick that one either. Let me think about that for a few minutes. What about you, Chance? I mean,
do you have
a favorite Halloween movie that you would watch?
Horror or Halloween?
Halloween.
Well,
Halloween.
Horror movies are Halloween. I mean, but horror movies are around all the time. But do you have a favorite that you?
Yeah, I've got a couple favorites. It depends because
when you were a kid, some movies affect you differently than when you get older.
I'll say the scariest one, in my opinion, is The Omen. That supernatural stuff that touches on our innermost fears.
Right.
Those are freaky movies. The Omen trilogy, the originals. Yeah. But on the lighthearted side, I'd have to say Friday the 13th, Part 3 in 3D, which I know is a slasher, but I just found the balance of humor, and it was the first one with the hockey mask, and it was my favorite Jason. It was a one-timer who played Jason. By the way, a recent Jason just died. We'll talk about that in a little bit. I mean, the other day, as we're live, in October 2022.
Is that the new one that's in theaters now?
Yes, and we're going to talk about...
But it's getting kind of trashed a little bit.
Wasn't a re-release?
No, it's new. And Jamie Lee Curtis, they say it's the last one, but it's kind of like The Who. When they go on tour, they always say it's the last tour.
Well, Jamie Lee Curtis did say she wasn't going to do any more of them, but I don't know.
Well, until she needs a paycheck.
Well, that's true. Don't never say never,
Let's
right?
be honest.
Never say never.
I mean, Sean Connery said he would never play James Bond again, but yet there he was, playing it again.
Yeah.
It depends on whether you want a paycheck.
Well, this is supposedly the last Halloween movie, but I like the one from last year with Anthony Michael Hall, who people remember from the Brat Pack movies. He was in that. And anyway, you saw that movie and you didn't like it. Last year's Halloween movie.
Right. I went
Halloween
with
Kills.
A mutual friend of ours, and oh my God, it was just awful. It was just terrible.
Yeah. Gory movie.
Jamie Lee Curtis was in the hospital the whole time.
Like in Halloween 2.
Yeah, she was in the hospital the whole
from
time.
1981. In terms of gore, I really like Dawn of the Dead with Tom Savini's effects. And that was a gross out. They did all sorts of experimental things, like a helicopter chopping off the head of a zombie. And you could see it was like a Herman Munster-sized head. I mean, it wasn't supposed to be like a Frankenstein monster, but that's just because it was pre-CGI. They did the best they could. But there were a lot of intestinal effects and gags in Dawn of the Dead. That's my favorite of the trilogy, Night of the Living Dead, Dawn of the Dead, or Day of the Dead. Yeah. And I worked with Greg Nicotero as one of many zombies in The Walking Dead. And he started, the first movie he did was Day of the Dead from 1985, and he started his own special effects company, and now he's a director in his own right. Great guy.
You know what one of my favorites?
What?
Is Sleepy Hollow with Johnny Depp.
That's a good one.
I enjoyed that movie a lot.
Yeah.
Did you like the original with Jeff Goldblum?
I don't know if I've seen
Is Ichabod Crane?
I don't remember. I don't know. I know Disney did an animated version of that. Remember?
Well, Disney did an animated version, and Bing Crosby was part of that. So
he was.
Yes, he was.
What did he do?
He narrated it. So.
Why do you keep messing with that board, Al? You're so funny. Is something wrong over there?
It's got a dirty pot in it. I got to clean it.
Okay.
All right.
Well, we're talking about Halloween. You were talking specifically about John Carpenter's Halloween. I guess we'll transition really quickly to meeting Catherine Mary Stewart. You might be thinking, what the hell does this have to do with Halloween? Well, she was in a movie that I screened to represent the Podblast last night, The Last Starfighter. And did you know the director of that movie played The Shape? Michael Myers himself in the very first Halloween movie and in the current one, the one you just talked about. Yeah. He's reprised playing Michael Myers, and he's like in his 70s. So I guess Michael's going to be walking a little bit slower. He already was slow and lumbering anyway. Let's listen to just a couple quick scenes from The Last Starfighter from 1984, and then I want to tell you a quick story about Catherine Mary Stewart, who was a sweetheart. Here we go.
Alex Rogan had a dream.
You really are leaving here, aren't you?
There she is.
To be as far away from here as possible.
You get your chance. When it comes, you gotta grab it with both hands.
That's what she said.
It started with a game.
You're gonna bust the record.
But it wasn't just any game.
You have been recruited by the Star League to defend the frontier against Zur and the Kodan Armada.
And then one night...
Centauri's the name. We have to talk about a matter of utmost
Robert Preston.
importance. Step into my office. I've seen him come and I've seen him go, but you're the best, my boy. Light years ahead of the competition.
Okay, I'll stop it there because it's mainly, it gets visual at that point, and this is just an audio-only trailer for today. And it was just a charming movie, I think. What is Al holding up there?
Tell us how long ago.
Oh, okay.
So it was 1987, wasn't it?
1984.
84.
And so Catherine Mary Stewart played the love interest in that film. And she also was in Night of the Comet, which is really her movie. Right. The guy who played Alex in this is Lance Guest, and he was in Jaws 4, The Revenge.
I'd like Night of the Comet.
Yeah.
You know why?
Because you were a projectionist. You probably showed it in the theater when it was new.
Well, no, but there's a scene in the projection room, remember?
Right.
Well, they want to take the print out and and make a copy of it, and the guy waits in the projection room until they don't come back. He says, I knew it. They weren't going to come back. Bring it back. Trying to dub the movie.
That's cool.
I remember when Star Wars, the newer release Star Wars, had been gone for so long that it came back out.
The Phantom Menace in '99,
yeah, and the prints were really hard to come by for some reason. And I remember we traded a print from a local Regal over to our Carmike, the Carmike Center. I remember they brought it over in their car, and there was like 3 or 4 people with them to make sure that it got there okay, and
isn't that crazy?
They were real concerned, whether the print would get pirated or whatever the case may be, which was hilarious. And they had a slightly different platter system than we had, so it was interesting to switch it over.
Well, your theater had the Christie platters.
Yes, and they had.
Christie were the best. The strong platters I didn't care for.
I want to say they had strong platters, but the
those.
ring was different, and I remember it was a slightly different size too. I remember that being a problem, but I figured it out and we reran it. But I just remember the secrecy and everything, which was kind of funny. It was funny.
Al, we got a nice shot of your face on camera. That's great.
Oh, my gosh.
I want to show a picture of me
a horror story.
And Catherine Mary Stewart from last night. I'm not going to publish this on social media because I look so ugly in it, and she's so beautiful. Is that camera up?
Yeah.
Okay. Tom would hold that up.
Wait a minute. Let me switch it. Hold on.
Exactly.
Let me switch. How
You're on the ball.
Not. Now it's up.
Okay. Is it on camera? Nope. There you go. Anyone can pause it.
Delay.
I know. I'm looking in the
Let
monitor.
me see.
There. This is terrible audio.
I want to see a close-up of it.
Well, I'll show you after the show. I'll show you after the show.
It'll take but a second to see it. You look fine from what I see.
All right. Well, I'll just talk while you're fooling with that. I'll just talk about Catherine Mary Stewart. There was a special screening at the Springs Cinema and Tap House in Sandy Springs, Georgia, and they're going to do a bunch of these, by the way. They're bringing actors in to do a Q&A after the presentation of the film, and maybe sign autographs and do photo ops before the show and after the show.
She actually does look good.
She looks fantastic. In person, even better. She's a beautiful lady, and she was so sweet. And she agreed to an interview on this program. And so she gave me her personal information. She goes, here's my email. I checked this, blah, blah, blah. Anyway, she was really nice. I want to thank Sandy Springs Cinema and Tap House in Sandy Springs. And as we're live, this won't mean a lot to those that don't follow sports, but the Tennessee-Alabama game was on, and the owner of the theater and Bill Tush were watching the game right before the movie started, The Last Starfighter, at 7:30. And it was like one of the best college football games in recent history.
Did they put it in the theater or just on the TV?
Just by the bar area, because they have a liquor license. They have a really nice bar at the Sandy Springs.
Sometimes theaters will run sports games on the big screen and sell,
And they will.
And it's free. You just have to buy the booze and the popcorn and the drinks and stuff like that. It's free.
So as you heard in that trailer, the main plot is this kid, he lives in a trailer park, and an armada in outer space has placed video games across the universe to locate a starfighter. And whoever can break the record will actually be summoned in outer space to fight a real space battle. Yeah. And that video game was accidentally placed in this trailer park. It was supposed to go to Las Vegas, Nevada in the story. And it's put in the trailer park. And so Lance Guest, playing Alex, breaks the record. He goes up into space. And there were a lot of great character actors in there. And again, this was directed by Nick Castle, who was the Shape in the first Halloween movie and the current Halloween movies. And Al joked, he goes, didn't that movie bomb? Well, it didn't do Star Wars type business, but it definitely did not bomb.
Yeah. I saw it. I enjoyed it at the time.
Mm-hmm.
But those movies...
It really wasn't dated. I thought it would be dated, but the effects, it was some of the first CGI, and it actually looks like a video game of the time, like an Atari game. And by the way, the effects company Apogee, Apogee, was formed in 1978 by, I have some notes on this guy too, John Dykstra, who had left Lucasfilm to do Battlestar Galactica, and there was a big lawsuit and a rift between Universal, Battlestar Galactica, and 20th Century Fox, Star Wars, over that. But he formed his own visual effects company, and he's still around. He did the effects for some of the Spider-Man movies. Talk about that in a second. But there were some great character actors in that movie, Tom, like Meg Wiley. Does that name mean anything to you?
No.
She was in you'll know this. She was in the original Star Trek pilot, The Cage. She played one of those Telosians with the big head with the mental powers. And Gene Roddenberry used elderly women to look alien, and it worked. It was pre-CGI.
It did.
And she also was in a great Twilight Zone. Speaking of Twilight Zone, we're talking about how there's a marathon on MeTV today. A Christmas episode, Night of the Meek, starring Art Carney, where he plays a drunk who literally becomes Santa Claus. Spoiler alert. And that was from 1960. And that was one of 6 that were shot on videotape, not on film. And then they went back to film. But, there's about 6. There's actually exactly 6 episodes of Twilight Zone that were shot on videotape back in 1960.
Well, there's some episodes that were an hour, and an hour was too long.
The season 4 was 1 hour.
It was too long. I mean, 30 minutes is all they needed.
The 1962 to 1963 season was 1 hour. Season 4 of the original Twilight Zone.
And a lot of times in these marathons, they won't show the hours. Now, the Decades Channel, no, it was a Sci-Fi. They ran a marathon for Labor Day weekend, and so, but they ran a couple of the hour episodes. Yeah. So.
And I had seen a screening with the main star, Lance Guest, back in 2016 here in Atlanta at the Southern Fried Game Room Expo, because it's a movie about video games, right? Yeah. So they brought him in and did a Q&A, same thing as last night with Catherine Mary Stewart. So I can say on my bucket list, I saw The Last Starfighter with the 2 main stars. Whoop-de-doo. But she was really, really sweet, and she played the girlfriend Maggie Gordon in that film. And then also, this actor Dan O'Hurley? How do I pronounce that?
Hurley.
Yeah, thank you.
Dan O'Hurley is his name.
Thank you. And his son was an actor, too. He played Brad in Superman 3, the drunk. And he was in it, and he played an alien, Grig, a good alien. And then Robert Preston played Centauri, the guy that recruits Alex and whips him into space. It was. And Al would know him from Victor Victoria.
Yeah, and The Music Man.
Preston, he was in a lot of movies.
And one of the questions from the crowd after the movie to Catherine Mary Stewart was, hey, how did you like working with Robert Preston? She goes, well, I didn't have any scenes with him. Oh. And so if he'd paid attention, you would know that, but that's okay, Yeah. And then I'm going to play, when I do a solo show, we tried to hook it up. We had some technical problems. I video recorded her doing her Q&A, and I asked her a question representing the nostalgic Podblast of this program. And I'll just save it for a future show. I thought we could hook it up, but we'll figure it out. Anyway, and she was just really, really sweet.
Did I see you yawn? Yeah, Tom is.
You don't remember? I've only had like 3
That's
hours
right.
sleep.
You worked at the Weather Channel until
1 o'clock.
1 o'clock?
Well,
1 a.m.
I didn't get home till 1 o'clock.
Well, you got off at 11. Got to come at 1.
I'm going to mention the 6 videotape Twilight Zone episodes were titled "The Lateness of the Hour," "Static," "The Whole Truth," "Night of the Meek" that I talked about, the Christmas episode 22 with Jonathan Harris, and "Long Distance Call" with Bill Mooney, where he's talking to his deceased grandmother through a phone.
Oh, yeah, that was a creepy one.
That was creepy.
And then another character actor in The Last Starfighter is Peggy Pope. Do you know who she is? She played the alcoholic co-worker in the hit movie 9 to 5, The Lush. And she died on May 27th, 2020 at the age of 91. She was in Bewitched episodes, Barney Miller, sitcoms, and other things. You'd recognize her if you saw her. Peggy Pope.
Something else we need to do.
I like that name, Peggy Pope.
I thought you were going to say Post.
Pope.
Sunday nights, which I'm not including you on this because no way you remember it, but Sunday nights there was always Wonderful World of Disney, The Colorful Wonderful World of Disney, Bonanza.
I watched every Sunday night.
Yeah, and they ran some really good films. And they were Disney films, but there were some really good cult type films, like for instance, Dr. Sin, Alias the Scarecrow. Mm-hmm. Do you remember that one?
Oh yeah, I remember.
And it was a great movie, and they ran it over like 4 Sundays. And then they released it as a movie. I do not know which came first, but I'm saying that to say this. That there were so many good Disney movies back then, even when Walt was alive, and he would obviously intro them and talk about them briefly. And we should talk about those, not necessarily today, but there's been so many good movies that they did back then. The Pollyanna with, Haley Mills. But there's so many good movies out there that have gone by the wayside that the Disney Channel doesn't even run. Which I'm surprised, because I thought that the Disney
Plus
was going to have a lot of classic movies. Now, I'm not saying they don't have some classic movies, but some of the ones you remember, That Darn Cat, which had Frank Gorshin in it, and there's so many movies out there that have just gone by the wayside as far as Disney is concerned. Now, interestingly enough, you can watch the original Mouseketeers shows
from the 50s.
Yeah, they're on there, and the transfer is beautiful, obviously.
And that was shot on film, not video.
Yes, but there's so many movies. Like I said, there's so many movies. Spin and Marty show within the Mouseketeers. Annette, which she had her own little show.
Oh yeah.
There was another one with Darlene Gillespie. So there's so many little shows within the show that if you edit them all together, they would make a nice little movie. And I'm surprised Disney has not taken advantage of any of that, because there's still a lot of old timers around that remember that. And I'm just going off memory.
Do you remember the?
And you've got the money to afford the subscription. Sorry, I'll go ahead.
Yeah.
Do you remember when the first Disney movie you ever saw as a kid?
Well, it would have to be whatever was televised.
I'm talking about in the movie theater.
Oh, in the movie theater. Well, the one I remember the most was The Jungle Book.
Oh, yeah.
Really?
Yeah.
You mean from the 70s?
Yeah. No, from the 60s.
It was the 60s.
Well, wait.
They've re-released it.
I saw the re-release.
Back it up. Sword in the Stone. Sword in the Stone was my first.
Really?
Yeah, Sword in the Stone. Yeah.
I'm older than you.
You are older than me.
The first Disney movie I went to see in a movie theater was The Absent-Minded Professor.
Well, yeah.
That's the first one I remember seeing in a movie theater.
I saw that on TV, too. I mean,
I remember seeing it at the theater.
Yeah.
And as a kid. Me and my brother went.
Well, the first one I remember was at the Village Playhouse there in Hilton Village in Newport News, Virginia. And that was The Sword in the Stone. That continues to be my favorite cartoon. Matter of fact, I've got a Merlin that's probably about this big that my son bought me.
Merlin the Wizard?
Merlin the Wizard at Disneyland in Anaheim. And it's got the owl and everything. And it's a great statue. It's a great statue. I love it.
We had, growing up, I mean, the theaters, we had one theater in my hometown. They played all the Disney movies.
Yeah.
And it was the Manor. And I used to see tons of movies at the Manor, the Disney movies.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah.
Aren't you going to ask me my first Disney movie in the theater?
Yeah, it was.
Herbie the Love Bug.
Herbie the Love.
Well, I like that movie though.
Because you like those cars.
I like the Volkswagen.
You have one.
Yeah.
Your car's in demand, actually.
Over at Stone Mountain Volkswagen here in Atlanta, the owner, they have an actual Volkswagen, but it's painted like Herbie the Love Bug. It's got the number.
You didn't tell me that.
Yeah,
That's
it's
cool.
in the lobby just as a showpiece.
Well, I want to look at that.
But it runs. I mean,
Would you send me a picture of that? You just had an oil change, but next time you're there,
I'll take a picture of it. Yeah.
Please try to remember. I'd like to see that.
Yeah, it looks just.
I have a soft spot in my heart for that movie.
I don't know. It looks just like the one from the movie. It's not. The owner had it fixed up like that.
Wow.
So.
And we've talked about this before when we did a show about Disney, but you mentioned the Mickey Mouse Club. Let's see. I saw the '70s version, which I know you guys probably couldn't stand, but Lisa Welcher was in it before she was Blair Warner on The Facts of Life, and they had other stars like not really Annette. I can't even pronounce her last name.
Funicello.
Thank you, sir. Annette, like there was another generation that they wanted to replicate that success, and I guess the only cool thing from my young eyes was that it was in color, and I watched the old one too, and I love both versions of that. And you're so right about Sunday nights being special with The Wonderful World of Disney. And in 1985, Steven Spielberg on television tried to bring that back. He launched Amazing Adventures, and they colorized on NBC Alfred Hitchcock Presents, hosted by the great Alfred Hitchcock. and they would show the classic introduction, which they had colorized.
Yeah. Yeah.
Remember that?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I do.
That was in fall of 1985.
As time goes on, even on the digital channels, the retro digital channel, a lot of the stuff that we used is going away. They're kind of upgrading. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
They're not really showing the older stuff anymore.
Yeah.
Well, there's so much new content. To Tom's point, I think with Disney Plus, they're producing so much new content. They're focused on that, and they think, in the corporate level, and the executives probably think that's how we're going to retain subscribers and get new subscribers, is to have compelling content, especially Marvel, which is still red hot. What are you doing, sir? With the board out.
But I also guarantee
I'm losing my mind.
Well, you keep pressing the...
There's no old farts on that board to fight for the older stuff. Like, oh, you need to keep this on the platform.
That's okay. I've got them on DVD and all that.
But you know why? It's because, unfortunately, the think is those people are dying off.
Yeah.
They've forgotten about us or you. Or now I'm sort of included in that too. But I love the new stuff. And I'm telling you, Al, you laugh when I mentioned She-Hulk. But did you watch the whole last episode?
No, I did not.
Spoiler, folks. I'm going to just go ahead and spoil this. She breaks the fourth wall in a huge way and actually kicks through the menu, the Disney Plus menu.
Oh, really?
She kicks through and enters like a making of special of Marvel, and she confronts the writers of the show. And they filmed it at the Disney campus in California.
That's cool.
And you see Roy with the statue of Roy.
Yeah.
I mean, Walt Disney and Mickey Mouse.
Yeah.
The class. It was all shot there, and it was brilliantly done. I'm not going to say any more than that, but it shows the writers' room.
What? It wasn't shot in Georgia?
Partially, yes, but it was really, really well done, and they made fun of the trolls. You heard in that opening where Jessica to take on online trolls. Well, what you see is She-Hulk is stupid. She's on an old-time computer, and she writes back, "You're stupid." Like she spits out her coffee, and I thought that was kind of clever because all along people have been bashing She-Hulk that don't understand it's a comedy.
Right.
It's supposed to be funny, as was the John Byrne era comics, 1989 to 1994. She broke the fourth wall before Deadpool did.
Yeah.
But they did a fantastic job. And before I saw that finale, Al, you're going to laugh at this. I had a dream. I was acting in a scene with Tatiana. Yeah, in your dreams. It'll never happen. And we're watching the dailies, meaning the playback, and she holds my hand and starts rubbing my shoulder, and then I wake up. And I'm like... And also, I said to her in my dream, if you notice, I have a crush on her. I do. Her acting is great. Her lips are really chapped and cracked, and I thought she must be a smoker in my dream. I go, you should really quit smoking because your lips look kind of cracked on camera. And I didn't know if she smoked or not. I just assumed. And then after I woke up, I looked it up, and there's all sorts of video of her chain smoking, and so she is a smoker. Wow. And in one scene, when she goes into the writer's room, there's a sign on the door, no smoking, and I figured that's an inside joke, maybe between the producers and her, like, Tatiana, chill on the smoke.
I love it when
She's so talented.
when shows go behind the scenes like that.
You got to see it.
Just like in recent years, even the old I Love Lucy series with Desi Arnaz and Lucille Ball and Vivian Vance, Wayne Frawley. You see the behind the scenes of before the show starts. Desi introduces everyone, and that's great to see that stuff. And it's great that stuff survives to this day.
Have you seen the color film on YouTube? Somebody shot when they were doing Andy Griffith in color, and it shows all the crew.
You mean with like a Super 8 camera?
Yes.
Yeah.
It's showing the crew. It's in color. You get to see all the characters setting up a scene, and you see the lights and all this sort of stuff. It's kind of cool.
Yeah, there's some.
Somebody shot
like
that in color. It's just
with no sound, right?
No, it's just home movies.
Yeah.
Well, see, you could put a track over that of music, like the classic theme with the whistle. But Bob May, the guy in the robot, the B9 robot you mentioned at the top of the show, also shot Super 8 millimeter during the first black and white season. It was neat because you could see the uniforms in real color. No sound, and it showed him putting on the robot costume. Yeah. He released it back in 1990 in a VHS tape. Bob May, Robot Memories. And he's no longer with us either. He was a vaudeville actor, and
you know what,
he auditioned to be Robin in Batman with Adam West.
You know what the most famous robot is?
Robbie the Robot? From Forbidden Planet, I would think. No, probably C-3PO or R2-D2 by now.
No, I mean...
Yeah.
Is the robot in Day the Earth Stood Still?
I don't think so.
Nick Ducatu.
Not anymore.
Well, I mean, this is TCM ran a special. They're running a thing on robots, and they talked about. They had a guy that talked about that. And the guy in the robot suit, he was a doorman at a theater. He was really tall, and so they recruited him to be Gort the robot. He'd never acted before.
Well, there wasn't a lot of acting to that role.
But he was worked in a movie theater, and they recruited him.
And I wonder how much he got for that.
I don't know.
Probably scale.
And there's a scene, where he goes, he picks up Patricia Neal, when he, But if you look, he goes behind this wall, and then you see him with her. Because they shot it, he tried to pick her up and he dropped her. He couldn't pick her up, and so they had to hold his arms out, and they put her in his arms, and then he walked out with her.
Wow.
I thought that was pretty cool.
And on Lost in Space, Irwin Allen hired Lamar Lundy, who was an NFL player, African American, to play the Cyclops giant in the pilot.
Right.
And they used some of that footage in the third episode. Episode 4. There were giants in the earth. Anyway, that was a football player in there, and they again probably paid scale to save a buck.
Oh yeah. Well, Irwin Allen was notoriously cheap. Speaking of producers, and stuff.
He used sets on everything
and stock footage.
Yeah. He was a king of cheap, and hey, look where he lived. Look what he did. Look at the cars he drove.
But I did like Towering Inferno.
What about Poseidon Adventure?
Yeah, I like
there was someone online. I'm not going to mention names. I couldn't believe this person said that they'd seen Poseidon Adventure, I think, for the first time, and said, "Oh man, it sucked. The best part of the movie was Leslie Nielsen." I'm like, "Oh really?" The guy who says, "Oh my God," he picks up a pair of binoculars, sees a wave coming. That was what I remember the extent of his acting. How about Gene Hackman?
Yeah.
How many lives are we going to sacrifice here? That was great where he hops on that steam and falls to his doom.
And
I
he
saves everybody.
Shelley Winters. I thought she was great.
Oh, she was good.
Yeah.
I remember, she died because she dived in the water, and then, of course, she.
There's a story online that I
love
read
her
about her that in the latter days, we're talking her life, where these young producers were always required the actors to audition for the roles, and they told Shelley Winters she would have to audition. She said, "Okay."
The F with you.
No, she didn't say. She did one better. She had a bag, and she put like 3 Oscars in it. Of her, I think she won 3 Oscars, and she just took them to the audition, and put the bag on the table, pulled out 1 Oscar, pulled out the other Oscar, pulled out the other Oscar, and I forget what she said.
Talk about making a statement.
Folks. But she made a statement with that, and it was just funny. I mean, someone of that caliber having to audition, is just crazy. It's like a Marlon Brando, a Paul Newman, a Robert Redford. Have you heard any more from Robert Redford? From those actors, the Denzel Washington's
favorite actor.
Yeah. Why would
Tom Cruise?
Yeah. Why would they have to audition?
They wouldn't,
because they wouldn't.
Today.
They wouldn't today.
Well, most of the time they offer the movie to them. I say, "This movie is for you." I mean, they didn't have to audition; they just want that person for that role.
Yeah,
and a lot of times it's luck too, and it's not what you know; it's who you know. Yeah. As Ron Goss said, one of our guests, he said he saw it. He auditioned for a part, booked the part, and then he got swapped out by a buddy of the director.
Yeah.
Well, a
gave
lot
his
of
buddy,
directors,
the director gave his buddy a job.
They have stock actors they use,
right? That are dependable. They know can pull it off.
It's just like Woody Allen. He uses stock. He knows. Alan Alda's one of them. He always used Alan Alda, who's got dementia, but he
does.
Yes.
I didn't know that.
Yeah.
He's not
That's
doing all that.
Terrible.
So another story was who's Angela Lansbury, who died at 96.
She just died the other day.
Yeah, she did.
Died at age 96, you're saying. Forgive me. Again, I wasn't listening.
No, not 1996. Yeah. But she, in Murder, She Wrote, if you ever watch any of those.
I like those shows a lot. Yeah.
Well, Peacock runs, I think Peacock runs them, or Roku channel runs them. And I'll get up and they'll be on, and I'll say, well, look, there's so-and-so. Oh, look, there's so-and-so. Oh, look, there's so-and-so. Well, she would hire all the old Hollywood guard actors. I put this on my website, and she would hire them to be on her show, so they'd be able to keep up their union points, so they could get insurance. That's how nice a person she was.
That's so cool.
What? She didn't audition them. She didn't do any of that. She did that for them because they were her friends.
Well, she was around in the 40s. She made a lot of movies. Yeah. And before she became a TV star.
Yeah. Everyone talks about the candidate having a brain toot. Manchurian Candidate.
Wait, you're having a brain toot?
I always do. Manchurian Candidate.
I didn't like that movie.
Which one? The Frank Sinatra one?
You got to say your line.
The Frank Sinatra.
You didn't like that one? Why? Because of
say your line.
I didn't care for it.
There you go.
I just didn't. I've never seen the remake with Denzel Washington, but I never liked the original. I don't know. It was just slow and it was a talkie, and I didn't get into it.
Well, it was good. I'm sorry you didn't like it.
I have it on DVD and I've never watched it.
And you probably never will.
I probably never will.
For those listening at fistfulofradio.com or Apple or wherever you hear us, I would direct you to our YouTube channel. Tom, will you hold this up for the camera? Is the right camera on, Al? There's a
We've
picture.
shown that picture 2 or 3 times
I want to show
already.
it again because I'm going to really wrap with this, talk about this subject, Mary Catherine Stewart. I said this to her after the movie. I said,
My chair's squeaking.
I'm sure you hear about this ad nauseum, but you looked a lot like Laurie Singer when you hit the scene. Both of you actresses hit the scene around the same time in the mid-'80s, and Laurie Singer is Mark Singer's sister, and she's best known for Footloose. Right. She was the love interest opposite Kevin Bacon in that movie, and I think that Mary Catherine Stewart should have been a bigger star because she had the talent, had the look, and I don't know. I'm just speculating here. If maybe Laurie Singer came along and took some wind out of her sails, I don't know. But by the way, The Last Starfighter, the last thing I'll say, is released July 13th, 1984. The budget was $15 million. It made $29 million in North America alone, so that's a $14 million profit in North America. Wow. It wasn't Star Wars money, but obviously it wasn't a bomb. And
I'm surprised it wasn't a sequel.
Well, I know there should have been, but here's the thing: in the end credits, it was teased, big credit coming soon from Atari, the video game, The Last Starfighter, and that never happened. I'll wait and he'll get irritated with me if I have a whole article I wanted to read about that, but I'll do some self-editing here. And then last thing I'll say, that special effects company I mentioned, Apogee, that did the effects, founded by John Dykstra, they did the effects for Star Trek: The Motion Picture.
Oh,
in part with another FX house. And John Dykstra still in the business. He did Batman Forever, Batman and Robin, Stuart Little, X-Men First Class, Spider-Man 1 and 2, starring Tobey Maguire, and he's still around. So
now they've re-released the original Star Trek motion picture.
Yes, in cinemas.
Did they redo all the effects?
Absolutely.
Did you see
start to totally digitally remastered? I did not see it.
Yeah,
I must be honest, and I'll always be honest with you. Did not see it yet.
Yeah. I heard it was good. It was good.
That FX company John Dykstra started was back on November 14th, 1977, after he left Industrial Light and Magic. I know I'm repeating myself, but I'm just trying to get back in track here in my notes. And he had an office located in Van Nuys, California. There's more. I'll save it for a solo show because he's brilliant in his own right. And it's quite interesting, his story. John Dykstra.
We've gone an
from the
hour
first
and a
Star
half,
Wars movie.
and I think that Tom is getting tired. So we need to put a wrap on it. Any final thoughts from anybody before we say goodbye?
I've got something very, very important to say.
What?
Thank you.
No,
hang on, let me liven it up with some music from Stu Phillips here. Am I potted up? This is from the first Battlestar Galactica 3-hour epic from September 17th, 1978. You know, it beat the Emmys. It beat the Emmys in the ratings that night. It was on opposite the Emmy Awards in 1978, and it had colossal ratings. Let's see if there's any comments before we sign off, yeah? Any questions? Any questions? This is your brain on drugs. Any questions? Having a little flashback.
Yeah,
that stupid ad.
Really. Well, it's been fun, and it's almost 6 o'clock
Eastern time.
Eastern Standard Time. Yeah. Are they gonna do the daylight savings?
That's in November. I think November. The first weekend in November.
Now that law did not pass, right?
No, they're going to go back to Standard Time.
Right, but they had talked about.
Well, they had talked about keeping daylight savings time all the time, but I don't
think
it
didn't pass, did it? Okay. Yeah,
anyway, we switched back, and I think it's the first weekend in November.
Yeah,
which is just
so much lovely politicians we have, but we won't go there. That could be several shows.
Yeah, we won't go there.
But we won't go there.
So, are we going to be back next week with a Halloween show, or what's the plan?
Well,
or is this something we'll talk about privately?
We'll privately
talk about it. So do you think, real quick, do you think Trump's going to run?
What? We don't talk politics. This is a no politics zone.
I know, but I'm just curious. I'm just doing a little poll here. Do you think Trump's going to run?
Al,
you
told
think
me the other day.
Santos is going to run? I mean, I'm just curious. What do you think?
Al, you told me offline you're sick of him. We don't want to go there.
All right, can I say something about that?
Sure.
I don't think we should.
All right. Well, I don't want Trump to run. Okay. I mean, I sort of like what he did when he was president, but I think we need somebody else.
Someone even keeled. So you didn't. All right, I'm not going to go there. I'm not going to get on my soapbox because I want to get away from that. I'm so sick of politics, and I can't wait for these midterm elections to be over with. I'm tired of the ads, the mail, the invasion of my life with this crap. Just vote or don't vote.
Yeah,
leave me out of it. I don't. I'm sick of it.
Do you think that? Now, let me ask another question.
What?
Is Stacey Abrams running for governor? Because I don't even know.
Yes.
Okay.
Of course.
Do you think she's?
Know that?
I know. Do you think she's going to win from Kemp?
No.
Okay.
Well,
I was curious.
We'll see.
I mean, I don't know. You know, the thing about it is, I stopped watching the news.
No,
I really don't watch the news anymore. I watch movies. I stream movies. I just don't. I don't watch it.
Can we get back on track with something nostalgic? The nostalgic cliche of the week. I did one solo, which you probably didn't hear. I want to see if you guys remember this. This is really quick. It's a visual thing. Remember in shows like Voyage to the Bottom of the Sea, Lost in Space, and even into the 70s, they would show an air vent with streamers on them. And it was the idea was that we want to show that the power's out or the air's out. Like when someone's locked in a vault, locked in a bank vault. Yeah. It was the hokiest thing. In real life, have you ever seen ribbons or streamers coming off of an air vent?
I have.
No.
I can honestly say I haven't.
In real life.
Yeah.
Not on a set.
In offices and stuff. In real life, yeah.
Really?
I find that hard to believe.
I do.
What, are you serious? That's a real thing? No. Well, all right. Well, here's a new cliche of the week for TV.
Okay, here it comes.
People trying to save the day by going through the air vent in a claustrophobic manner. You know, there'll always be like it happened in Star Trek in an episode called Dagger of the Mind, where they put a girl played by Mariana Hill.
Some movie shows.
Battlestar Galactica did it when there was a fire on the ship when the Cylons did a kamikaze mission to set the Galactica on fire. And so they put the robot, who was played by a chimpanzee. That, of course, wasn't a real robot.
Right.
And that probably would not pass today's Humane Society standards, putting that poor monkey in that hot outfit. Anyway, but that is just the corniest thing. You did it on all sorts of shows where someone would have to go
Movies,
through
all kinds of things.
I've never seen access to an air vent like that. Now, if there's an HVAC worker out there, or someone that owns a company,
well, some
could
of those
educate
air
me.
vents are big. They're huge. Did you see the movie Escape Room?
Yeah, we watched it together.
Well, you know, they were in some vents at some time, you know, trying to escape. All right, we got to say goodbye.
No, they were.
Later.
They really were.
Say wait.
So anyway, I put it this way: if they were to have to go through my house or Al's house at events, you'd be dead.
Al, pop me up for a quick second.
Because they're all.
We got to say goodbye.
We are saying goodbye. Am I on?
Yes.
Why can't I hear nothing? I make sure you're hitting the right button now.
Because you're muted.
I did it again.
That's why.
Anyway, tries to blame it on me.
I'm sorry, Al. Well, I just want to say, season screamings, happy Halloween, everybody. But we'll probably be back before the actual Halloween.
Yeah, probably.
Halloween.
2022.
Halloween.
Say wait.
Hit that close? Okay, we'll see you all next time.
The wish is granted. Long live John Dee.